Dear listener, let me address you on an issue which constantly creates big discussions whenever the BJP government comes into power. And the issue is, do they want to saffronize or Hinduize education? I want to look upon the whole issue in a different way. What had really gone wrong, let us say 150 years ago, when some significant or major things in the Indian education system were simply scissored out? That is, in the middle of the 19th century, what was it that Macaulay threw out? Was it just Sanskrit? No. Macaulay threw out something most significant. He threw out the very foundations of Indian culture. And he did so by simply banishing the Indian arts from education. You see, this whole question about saffronizing, Hinduizing, or making the curriculum indigenous actually hovers around the traditional systems of knowledge and the traditional arts that were cut out from education system. It is not a question of bringing Sanskrit or Arabic or Persian, because these languages cannot just be revived if there is no repository and practical need for them. How do you make a practical need for them unless you revive the classical arts of India? And if the classical arts of India are outside the education system, then how are the Indian minds going to understand the Indian philosophic system? How are they going to understand the values of life? How are they going to understand respect for elders, concern for the needy? How are they going to understand the method through which they have to make donations to the right recipient in Indian society? It is through the education of art that all these things can happen. Now, if we concern ourselves more with religious issues, such as should the Bhagavad Gita be made the national book of India or the national text of India? If we concern ourselves with issues like should the Ramayana be taught or not, would it be secular to teach Ramayana, then we would be constantly thinking in terms of religion, religious thought, and conflict between different religious systems that the people of this country follow. But if we bring into the education system in a big way and in a curricular way the arts of India, then I think this sort of problem which confronts us all the time would cease to be. For instance, if you are going to teach Indian music, music which is not just classical, but music which is folk, then you would be teaching all kinds of songs which the people of that area would love to hear their children sing. So, in some area where there are more Sikhs, teaching of Shabad as art would also protect and give the education of religion to that community, but would also communicate the values enshrined in the Holy Granth Sahib to all other children, children who may be Muslim, children who may be Christian. It is through the practice of art that people of different communities come together. What we have done is, according to the British habit, 19th century British habit, not even the contemporary British habit, we thought of history and mathematics and a couple languages, mainly English, as the only curricular subjects which would provide us education, which meant really education for bureaucrats of higher, middle and lower level. It was through this major disastrous policy that the whole culture of India, including the religious, the dharmic culture of India, was put aside. And if we bring in now all kinds of arts into the curriculum, if children from a very early age, from nursery, and when they grow up right up to PhD, are able to pursue these arts as curricula, then there would be a major return of Indian culture as a whole, and it would be something which children would learn with great joy, and I am sure that they would excel in it. Thank you.